What's going on? I'm William, and this is Man Meets Money. In today's episode, I'm going to be going over 5 car buying hacks that are guaranteed to save you money. Don't you want to be more in control of your car buying experience and not have to accept the dealership's prescribed fate? With the spring car buying frenzy upon us, tax refunds coming in, I want to make sure that you have all the tools you need to not only beat the dealership, but to give the salesperson a run for their money, literally. And just a random side note, before I got into financial services, I was in automotive sales and leasing on the conventional and luxury end of things, so this is kind of a peek behind the scenes. Now, the first and most important hack is, if possible, get pre-approved through your preferred bank. Getting pre-approved comes with a variety of benefits, including, but not limited to, peace of mind, knowing your financing is already secured. When you get a legit pre-approval, this eliminates half of the haggle because you already know your payment amount, your term, and interest rate. And if you want to be an absolute boss about it, you'll go online, find the car you want in advance, and get a vehicle-specific pre-approval through your bank. Now, just make sure you contact the dealership to make sure the vehicle's still in stock. If for some reason the vehicle is gone, you can always find a similar vehicle and change it with your bank later on. Now, an extremely crucial note about pre-approvals is once the dealership finds out you're pre-approved, they're going to offer you several times to try to beat your rate. Absolutely avoid letting them convince you to fill out a credit application and apply with them. Once you hammer out the details of your deal, call your bank, give them all the information so they can finalize your approval and get the information submitted to the dealership. Now, a golden nugget is this: if you bank locally, oftentimes you can actually go into your branch and get a draft check. This is another key point. If you get a draft check, that's same as cash to the dealership. The dealership may try to get you to fill out a credit application and claim it's for their files. This is absolutely false. Little do you know, once you fill out a credit application and sign it, the lies they told you about not pulling your credit are null and void, because as soon as you sign a credit application, you're giving your consent for your credit to be run. It's important that you don't fall for that tactic because it's very subtle and easy to miss. And this leads directly into hack number 2. Check your state's guidelines on interest rate markups. A lot of people have no clue that banks actually allow dealerships to mark up the interest rate from 2 as high to 2.5%, and the scary thing is perfectly legal. So if you got approved through the dealership for 3%, they can legally tell you it's 5.5% and you'll never know the difference. On a 60-month term, on a $25,000 loan, that's $28.31 difference a month. And that means instead of having a monthly payment of $449.21, you would have a monthly payment of $477.52 because of that 2.5% markup. And that increase in your payment is all interest. And that's why it's absolutely imperative that, if possible, you get a legit pre-approval through your preferred bank, because this eliminates the dealership from even having this opportunity. Now, if you prefer to apply at the dealership, that's perfectly fine, but make sure you demand, politely of course, to see the pre-approval notice that comes back from the banks that they submit to. And yep, you guessed it. When a dealership submits a credit application for approval to a bank, the bank literally sends back an approval or a denial sheet. And if it's an approval sheet, it'll have the full detail of the loan terms that you were approved for, such as your repayment term, the payment amount, and most importantly, the interest rate. And there's no internal information on those sheets, so there's nothing preventing a car dealership from letting you see it. And of course, that puts the power of the purchase back into your hands, which is the absolute goal. Now, this next hack is something you really need to spend time on because it can make or break your car deal. And that is, know your trade-in value. If you're trading a vehicle, it's important to note that dealerships are always going to come to you and say, this is what your car is going for at auction. Now, keep this in the back of your mind, and I'm going to say this in all caps. If you have a popular car that's 10 or less years old, in good condition with respectable miles, they absolutely are not sending your car straight to the auction. So do not let them convince you that that's what they're going to do, because that's a lie. So do research to see what the trade-in value of your car is. Now, most dealerships have come around to honoring Kelley Blue Book pricing, which is huge for consumers. This eliminates the dealership from being able to hold back and offer you a less than respectable value for your trade-in. And it forces them to offer you what it's worth. Now keep in mind, dealerships will always try to come to you with fair or good condition, so it's important that you're realistic with yourself about the condition your vehicle's in when you do this self-assessment on kbb.com. Now, I mentioned the next hack in passing earlier. It's simple, but extremely important and can be a huge game changer. Browse cars online. If you shop online for your vehicle first, you are practically guaranteeing yourself that you're gonna save money. Nearly all dealerships offer better prices online than they do in store. And of course, if you show up to the dealership without having shopped online, they're not just gonna offer you the lower price. In fact, if you come in on a particular car and you get far enough into the deal, sometimes sales managers will reach out to their internet sales department and try to have the vehicle taken down from online. Because dealerships know that during downtime, customers get curious. And the first thing they're gonna do is pull their phone out and start to browse online to see if they're getting the best deal. And of course, if you've already hammered that deal down to pennies and then you end up finding the car online at that dealership for a cheaper price, it's gonna change everything. So yes, you can literally wind up spending more money by not shopping online first. And hack number 5 is huge. Be prepared for the finance office. After you've destroyed the sales process and whittled them down to the last dollar, the finance office is gonna come at you with everything they have, but you'll be ready for it. Pro tip number 1 for dealing with the finance office is reach out to your insurance company before you even go to the dealership and ask about gap insurance. A lot of consumers don't know that the insurance company you currently have may offer gap insurance and it'll be significantly cheaper than what you pay for at the dealership. Now, if you're not comfortable having that conversation with your insurance company, or maybe this is your first purchase at a car dealership, getting gap insurance through the finance office isn't a terrible idea, but understand this, that the price that they offer you is absolutely negotiable, and sometimes you could even cut that price in half if you push hard enough and play your cards right. And if you're not quite sure what gap insurance is, I got you covered. Gap insurance essentially does just what it's called. It covers a gap. Now that gap is gonna be the difference between what you owe on your car and what your car is worth. Because a vehicle is a depreciating asset, oftentimes you're gonna end up owing a little bit more than what the car is worth. So if your car is worth 10 grand, you have a $15,000 loan, that gap is gonna cover you for that $5,000. And yes, gap is real and it comes in handy, so absolutely get gap if you're financing a car. This method of being able to negotiate in the finance office also applies to extended warranties. Now, if you feel like you're gonna keep your vehicle for an excessive amount of time, or maybe drive it more than the average amount of miles per year, getting an extended warranty may not be a bad idea. But if you're somebody who drives 10, 12 to 14,000 miles per year, you only keep your car for about 3 to 4 years, getting an extended warranty may not be something that's necessary for you. But if you absolutely feel like you wanna get an extended warranty, make sure you negotiate it and ensure that it's not through some random third-party company. You'll want to make sure that your extended warranty is backed by the manufacturer or is through a warranty provider that the manufacturer recommends. And that's a big deal. So if you end up getting an extended warranty and they don't want to budge on the price, one negotiation tactic you can use is convincing them to include a 3-year service package for basic services. And no, I am not exaggerating. If you push hard enough and demand that things be done for you, professionally of course, you'd be surprised what you can accomplish through an extra hour of negotiating in the finance office. Now, with all this talk of extended warranties and service coverage, I'm gonna throw out one more key point. Try very hard, if possible, to buy the brand of car from the manufacturer's dealership. For instance, if you're buying a BMW, buy it from a BMW dealership if they have the car you're looking for. That'll make it significantly easier for you to try to negotiate add-ons like service packages. And as far as the financing paperwork is concerned, if you follow hack number 1 and you get a legit pre-approval through your preferred bank, then all the numbers are already taken care of. Now, if you ended up doing your credit application through the dealership, you're gonna wanna go over your buyer's order with a fine-tooth comb. Items that you'll wanna look for on your buyer's order is 1, the out-the-door price for your vehicle. Pay absolute attention to it. It shouldn't be any different than what you sign on your worksheet when you're doing your initial negotiation. If it's even 1 penny off, you be sure to give them an extremely hard time about that 1 penny. Because where is it coming from? You need to know what caused a shift in the numbers. Next thing is your interest rate. Make sure that is the interest rate that you were promised. And as I said in hack number 2, make sure that it's the interest rate that was shown on your approval sheet and isn't even 1/100% different. And of course, you'll want to make sure that they kept you for the same payment and the same term. It's very possible for a dealership to hustle you into paying a longer term because you're caught up on the monthly payment amount and not all the details that work into that payment amount. Yes, with a small adjustment in your interest rate and a stretch in the term, your payment could be the exact same. So if you agreed to 60 months in the initial negotiation, make sure your buyer's order also says 60 months. This is huge because once you sign and drive off with that car, if you go back and find a mistake later, it's too late. Let's go ahead and hit it with a recap. If possible, get pre-approved. Save yourself the stress. Make sure that you know your state's guidelines around interest rate markup so you can prepare yourself for dealership financing if you have to go that route. Also, making sure that you are very dialed in on your trade-in value if you're trading a car in, that way you don't get hustled. And of course, you absolutely want to be psychologically ready to negotiate very aggressively in the finance office. And please don't forget to shop online because again, that can save you a lot of money. I'm talking up to $3,000 and sometimes more. And if you hung around to the end of this video, go ahead and give yourself a pat on the back because per usual, I'm gonna go ahead and send you off with a gold nugget. The best time to buy a car is always gonna be the last weekend of the month or on days where it's very dry, like Monday mornings or Wednesday mornings, some random day throughout the work week. Because dealerships are always trying to make numbers by the end of the month, they're always desperate to move cars on days where it's extremely slow and salespeople don't have any appointments coming in. So again, end of the month or random days throughout the work week, oftentimes in the morning or in the very early afternoon. In any event, if you found this video helpful, please consider sharing it with a friend or family member. Consider subscribing. Would love to have you in attendance for future videos. It's been another episode of Man Meets Money. I'm William. Love y'all. See you real soon.